My beloved ones, life is not a straight road of roses. Along your journey, people will misunderstand you, speak against you, and even try to pull you into storms that are not your own. But I tell you today, you have the power to remain calm, to never be shaken, to never allow anger to take the throne of your soul. Guard your inner peace, for it is the crown jewel of your being. Do not hand it away cheaply to those who do not understand its value. Peace is not found in the silence of the world, but in the silence of your heart. It is in that place where you learn that no insult, no gossip, no act of disrespect can disturb you unless you invite it inside. You must learn the art of choosing response over reaction. A reaction is quick, heated, and uncontrolled, but a response is deliberate, wise, and powerful. When someone throws fire your way, do not become a flame. Be the water that quenches it. For if you rise every time anger calls your name, you give your strength to weakness. But when you choose calm, you stand taller than the moment. Understand this: most who hurt you are themselves in pain. Most who mock you are hiding their own scars. And most who shout at you are only echoing the storms within their own hearts. If you see their wound, you will no longer carry their words as a dagger in your chest. You will see them as a cry for healing. Compassion dissolves anger, and understanding silences the need for revenge. Detach yourself from opinions. Opinions are the cheapest currency of humankind, handed out freely, often without thought, without truth, without weight. They are the shadows people throw, but you are the sun. They cannot dim your light. Let them talk. Let them doubt. Let them throw stones if they wish. Your worth is not in their mouths, but in your mission. Elevate above negativity. The eagle does not argue with crows. It simply rises higher until the crows can no longer follow. So too must you learn to rise. Do not waste your wings flapping at every distraction, every petty voice, every critic who cannot see beyond their own narrow world. Your destiny is too vast to be caught in the nets of smallness. And finally, anchor yourself in purpose. A person who knows where they are going cannot be distracted by who mocks them along the way. A heart fixed on meaning cannot be shaken by noise. Purpose is the compass that steadies you when the winds of negativity blow. So walk on, child of destiny, with your head lifted high. Let your soul be unbothered, your spirit unshaken, and your heart untouchable. Do not be moved by what is said around you, but by the greatness that lives within you. For the one who masters peace, who refuses anger, who chooses strength in silence, is the one who walks in true freedom. Guard your inner peace as if it were a golden crown, rare and beyond price. For peace, once lost, is not easily found again, and a heart once stirred by rage is slow to settle. You see, life will place many voices around you, some gentle, some harsh, some that bless and others that curse. But none of those voices can take away your calm unless you open the door and invite them in. Peace is not stolen, it is surrendered. And you must learn never to surrender what gives you strength, what gives you clarity, what gives you freedom. There will be days when the world will tempt you with its noise. There will be people who stir confusion, who toss careless words into the air as if they were pebbles, never realizing how deeply they can cut. But my dear, you are not the pebble and you are not the cut. You are the river that keeps flowing unshaken by stones tossed at its surface. Guarding your inner peace means remembering that you are greater than the moment, greater than the insult, greater than the temporary storm. Do not think that peace is weakness. Oh no, peace is strength in its most refined form. Anger shouts, but peace whispers with authority. Rage burns quickly, but peace endures the night and greets the morning. To guard your peace is to guard your crown, to guard the very throne of your soul where no enemy can reach unless you grant them the key. When you hold on to that truth, you will no longer be tossed about by the winds of gossip, by the heat of argument, or by the sting of rejection. There will be times when someone will provoke you, when they will speak in a way that is sharp, disrespectful, or cruel. You will feel the rise of heat within you, that familiar urge to defend, to strike back, to prove yourself. But guarding your inner peace means pausing before you pour fuel on a fire that was never yours to light. Silence can be louder than anger. Calm can be stronger than shouting. When you protect your inner calm, You deny others the power to control your emotions, and you show the world that your spirit answers to no one but truth. Do not misunderstand. Guarding your peace does not mean avoiding life, nor does it mean hiding from confrontation when confrontation is necessary. It means stepping into every space with dignity. It means choosing not to let the poison of others become the blood that runs in your veins. It means that even when you speak firmly, you speak with clarity, not with chaos. It means that even when you must stand your ground, you do not let anger be your sword. Peace is not passive, it is powerful. It allows you to look into the eyes of someone who tries to tear you down and still remain unbroken. It allows you to walk through storms with dry eyes and steady feet. It allows you to remember that you are more than this moment, more than what was said, more than what was done. And when you hold that power within, no one, no matter how loud, how cruel, or how persistent, can make you small. Guarding your inner peace also means being careful about where you plant your spirit. Not every place deserves your presence. Not every voice deserves your ear. Not every argument deserves your answer. Sometimes, the most powerful act you can perform is to walk away and keep walking. Peace is not found in every crowd. Sometimes it is found in silence, in solitude, in prayer, in stillness. Protect your peace by choosing wisely where you go and who you allow to walk beside you. My beloved, learn to sit within yourself, to know your worth so deeply that nothing external can diminish it. For when you know your worth, you stop bargaining it away in the markets of anger and offense. When you know your worth, you stop lowering yourself to wrestle in the mud with those who cannot see beyond their own bitterness. You were made for higher ground, for soaring heights, for a calm so radiant that it confuses those who expect your fall. And when the world wonders why you are not shaken, why you do not shout when shouted at, why you do not curse when cursed, you can smile within, knowing that you have chosen peace over chaos, strength over weakness, eternity over the fleeting. You have chosen to guard what is sacred inside you. And in that guarding, you become untouchable. So I urge you, protect your inner calm as you would a child asleep in your arms, tenderly, carefully, without letting the noise of the world disturb it. For in that calm lives your power, your wisdom, your freedom. And once you learn to guard it, you will never again be mastered by anger, nor pulled into battles that were never yours to fight. To choose response over reaction is to choose mastery over your life. It is to claim the throne of your emotions and refuse to be pulled off it by the chaos of others. Reaction is quick, it is sudden, it is the fire that leaps without thought. But response is deliberate, steady, and grounded in wisdom. Reaction is born in the heat of the moment. Response is born in the depth of understanding. One drains your energy, the other preserves your dignity. So often in life, people will try to press your buttons. They will poke at your patience, provoke your spirit, and stir your peace. If you live by reaction, you will find yourself a puppet in their hands, dancing to every pull of their strings. But if you live by response, you cut the strings, and you remain sovereign over your own soul. The one who reacts is controlled by the moment. The one who responds controls the moment itself. Think of how many times anger rises uninvited when someone cuts you off in traffic, when a coworker disrespects you, when a loved one fails to meet your expectations. Reaction is the easy path, the honk of the horn, the sharp word, the cold silence. But what has it ever built? Reaction leaves behind the ashes of regret, broken bridges, and heavy hearts. Response, however, is the harder path, the higher path. It asks you to breathe, to pause, to step back and see the whole picture before moving. It asks you to act not from your wound, but from your wisdom. Response is not silence born of weakness. It is action born of strength. It does not mean that you allow others to trample over your worth. It does not mean that you sit quietly while injustice roars. No, response means that when you stand tall. When you speak with purpose, not poison. It means that your words carry the weight of thought and not the recklessness of impulse. A person who responds rather than reacts carries an aura of authority. They do not need to raise their voice to be heard. They do not need to lash out to prove their point. Their calmness speaks louder than another's shouting. Their patience is sharper than another's insult. And their wisdom, wrapped in response, is stronger than the wildest fury. Reaction is often about ego. It is about needing to be right, needing to defend, needing to fight back. But response is about vision. It is about choosing peace over being proven correct, about choosing growth over momentary satisfaction. A person who reacts is often a prisoner of pride. A person who responds is free because they know their worth does not tremble at every word thrown their way. To choose response over reaction is to give yourself the gift of time. Time to think, time to reflect, time to weigh whether the situation even deserves your energy. For not every argument deserves your voice, and not every insult deserves your attention. Sometimes the most powerful response is silence. Sometimes the most victorious answer is walking away, and sometimes the only true response is kindness. Kindness that disarms the one who expected your anger and leaves them puzzled by your grace. Do not be deceived into thinking that choosing response will make your life easy. It will challenge you, because the world will always tempt you with the instant release of reaction. But ease is not the path to greatness. Anyone can snap, anyone can shout, anyone can strike back. But it takes true strength to rise above the pull of impulse. It takes courage to pause when your emotions are on fire. It takes wisdom to smile in the face of provocation and say, I will not hand you the keys to my peace. When you begin to live this way, you find yourself lighter. You discover that not every storm requires your ship to sail into it. You see that many conflicts die on their own if you refuse to fuel them with reaction. You realize that the energy you once wasted on quick outbursts can now be used to build, to dream, to grow. Response is the language of kings and queens. It is the voice of those who understand that their time, their peace, and their dignity are too valuable to squander on every distraction. When you choose response, you are declaring that you are in control of yourself, and that no one has the power to drag you down unless you allow it. So when the next challenge comes, and it will come, pause, breathe, remind yourself that you are not a servant to anger. Remember that you are not the echo of others' insults. You are the master of your own heart, and you decide what voice speaks for you. Choose response, not reaction, and you will find that no one, no matter how harsh or unkind, will ever truly hold power over you. To understand before judging is to look deeper than the surface, to see with eyes that are patient and a heart that is willing to listen. Too often we rush to draw conclusions about people based on a single word, a single action, or a single moment. But one moment never tells the whole story of a life. What you see in an instant may be only the shadow of pain, the echo of struggle, or the scar of battles you know nothing about. Judgment is quick, but understanding is slow, deliberate, and drenched in compassion. When someone lashes out, our instinct is to defend, to criticize, to condemn. But pause for a moment and ask yourself, what wound are they speaking from? What burden do they carry that bends their spirit? What sleepless nights, what heavy disappointments, what silent battles lie behind their sharp words? If you could see the weight that another person carries, you might not judge their stumble so harshly. If you could feel the ache in their heart, you might not return anger with anger. Understanding softens the edges of judgment, and compassion builds bridges where condemnation only builds walls. Judgment is easy because it asks nothing of us but pride. It allows us to look down on another while lifting ourselves up. But understanding asks us to step outside of ourselves, to bend low, to see the humanity in someone else even when their actions are flawed. Understanding does not excuse harm, but it explains it. An explanation is the first step to healing, not only for them but for you as well. Consider how quickly we judge the quiet person as arrogant, when perhaps they are simply shy. How quickly we label the angry person as cruel, when perhaps they are only hurt and have no language for their pain. How quickly we dismiss the one who fails, when perhaps they are carrying a burden that would break our own back if it were laid on us. If we understood first, judgment would lose much of its venom. When you live with understanding, you learn to listen to more than words. You listen to the silence between words, to the tremble in a voice, to the weight behind a glance. You see the story written not just in what a person does, but in what they endure. And in that seeing, you become gentle, not weak, not naive, but gentle in spirit, strong enough to respond with patience where others would strike with anger. There is great power in saying, I do not know their story, so I will not condemn them. There is strength in pausing before labeling, in asking questions instead of forming assumptions. You cannot walk a mile in every person's shoes, but you can honor the fact that those shoes have traveled roads you may never know. This awareness softens your heart, and it shields you from the quick sting of offense. For when you understand that most cruelty is born from pain, most arrogance is born from insecurity, and most hatred is born from fear, you no longer take it personally. You begin to see beyond the mask, beyond the moment, into the tender truth of human struggle. Understand before judging, because judgment often closes doors, but understanding opens them. Judgment ends conversations, but understanding begins them. Judgment makes enemies, but understanding creates pathways to friendship, to healing, to peace. Judgment shrinks the world, but understanding expands it, because it reminds us that every soul is complex, layered, and worthy of grace. There will be times when your pride will urge you to judge quickly, to label someone so you can move on, but resist the urge. Pause and ask what is unseen here, what is untold, what is hidden beneath this behavior. That pause is the difference between reaction and wisdom, between bitterness and empathy, between conflict and peace. Understanding before judging does not mean ignoring wrong. It does not mean tolerating harm or allowing injustice to reign. It means that even as you hold someone accountable, you hold on to their humanity as well. It means you recognize that flawed actions do not erase the value of a life. It means you separate the wound from the person, the behavior from the soul, and you seek healing instead of only punishment. And in practicing this, you also free yourself, for judgment chains you to anger, to bitterness, to pride. But understanding frees you to walk lightly, to let go of grudges, to respond with grace. It allows you to see others not as enemies to fight, but as fellow travelers, stumbling their way through this same hard journey of life. So when the world tempts you to judge quickly, breathe deeply and choose differently. Look beyond the mask. Listen beyond the words. Seek to know the story before you condemn the chapter. For in choosing understanding, you not only honor others, you elevate yourself. You grow in patience, in wisdom, in strength of spirit, and you discover that peace is not found in judgment, but in the gentle power of truly seeing. Detach from opinions, for they are the winds of the world, shifting, swirling, changing direction with every season. If you tether your soul to the words of others, you will be tossed about like a fragile leaf in a storm. One moment praised, the next moment criticized, one day lifted high, the next day torn down. To live by the opinions of people is to hand them the keys to your peace, and once you do, they will open and close the doors of your spirit at will. Detachment is not indifference. It is wisdom. It is the steady knowing that your worth is not defined by applause nor diminished by rejection. The truth is, opinions often say more about the speaker than the subject. What someone says of you is colored by their own fears, their own wounds, their own limited vision. If a person is bitter, their words will taste bitter. If a person is kind, their words will feel like a balm. But neither the bitterness nor the balm should determine who you are. You must learn to stand in the quiet center of yourself, unmoved by the changing winds of approval or disapproval. There is great freedom in understanding that people will always talk. Some will talk because they admire you, others because they envy you, and still others because they simply cannot comprehend you. But you are not here to be comprehended by every voice. You are here to live your truth, to walk your path, to answer to the calling that burns within you. If you pause at every comment, if you lower yourself at every criticism, if you bend at every whisper, you will never rise to your true height. Detachment means you allow people to speak, but you do not allow their words to plant themselves in the soil of your soul. Do not mistake this for arrogance. It is not arrogance to protect your peace from careless voices. It is strength. It is not arrogance to refuse to be defined by what others think of you. It is clarity. For if you live to please every opinion, you will find yourself endlessly shifting, endlessly striving, endlessly exhausted. And still you will never satisfy them all. The world has too many tongues and too many judgments for you to meet them one by one. Detachment says, I hear you, but I do not hold you. It is the power to listen without absorbing, to see without becoming what is seen. Opinions are like shadows. They change with the angle of light, but that they do not alter the substance of who you are. Some will call you too quiet, others too loud. Some will say you are too bold, others that you are too timid. If you live by their words, you will become a stranger to yourself. But if you detach, you can stand in the mirror and recognize your own reflection, untouched by the shifting shadows around you. Detach from opinions not by hardening your heart, but by deepening your roots. A tree does not fall because the wind blows. It falls because the roots are weak. If your roots are grounded in truth, in vision, in purpose, then no voice, no matter how loud, can uproot you. Opinions may rustle your leaves, they may bend your branches, but they cannot shake your foundation. And in that strength, you will find peace. Sometimes the most dangerous opinions are not those of strangers, but of those closest to you. The words of family, of friends, of loved ones can pierce deeper than any insult from afar. But even here, detachment is necessary. For those who love you may still misunderstand you. They may project their fears onto your dreams, their insecurities onto your choices. Detachment allows you to love them, to honor them, but not to let their fears define your future. Remember this, you were not created to live by the measure of another's yardstick. Your worth is not a number they can add or subtract. Your destiny is not a story they can edit. Opinions may echo, but they do not write your script. Detach and walk forward with clarity. Detach and rise with freedom. Detach and you will hear the only voice that truly matters. The still, steady voice within that says, you are enough. You are strong, you are whole, so let them speak, let them whisper, let them shout if they must. Their words are theirs, not yours. You do not need to catch them. You do not need to carry them. Keep walking, keep building, keep becoming. For when you detach from opinions, you discover a freedom that no praise can inflate and no criticism can deflate. You learn to live from within, and in that place you are untouchable. To elevate above negativity is to rise beyond the reach of smallness. It is to know that the chatter of the world, the bitterness of others, and the envy that lurks in hidden places do not deserve a permanent seat in your heart. Negativity will always be present in life, just as shadows always follow the sun. But you are not called to wrestle with every shadow. You are called to shine so brightly that the shadows cannot remain. Rising above negativity does not mean pretending it does not exist. It means refusing to let it weigh you down, refusing to let it tie your spirit to the ground. Think of the eagle. The eagle does not waste time flapping its wings against the crows that peck and chatter. It simply ascends higher and higher until the crows can no longer breathe in the thin air. That is how you must live. Do not descend into battles of insult, gossip, or envy. Do not waste your wings on arguments that have no meaning and no end. Choose to soar, choose to rise. Choose to let the higher altitude of peace and purpose keep you above the noise. Negativity will try to dress itself as truth. Someone will tell you that you are not enough, that your dream is too large, that your voice is too small. But understand this, they are not speaking the truth about you. They are speaking the limits of themselves. If you internalize their words, you will shrink to fit their narrow world. But if you rise above, you will see that their doubts are only reflections of their own fear. Their words cannot chain you unless you allow them. Their opinions cannot define you unless you accept them. To elevate above negativity, you must train your spirit not to feed on every word given to you. A bird cannot soar if it keeps returning to peck its scraps on the ground. In the same way, you cannot rise if you constantly return to arguments, to gossip, to bitterness. Let others carry their own burdens of negativity. You are not their mule. Let them hold their grudges, their resentments, their envy. You were not born to carry them on your back. When they drop stones in your path, do not stop to throw them back. Gather them quietly and use them to build a road that leads you higher. Understand, too, that negativity often comes dressed in the voices of those closest to you. Friends, family, colleagues. Sometimes their words cut the deepest, not because they are cruel, but because they are afraid. Afraid you will outgrow them. Afraid you will fail. Afraid that if you rise, they will be left behind. You must love them, but you must not be bound by their fear. Elevating above negativity means carrying compassion for others while still choosing the higher road for yourself. There will be times when negativity will feel like a storm around you, rumors, criticisms, doubts, envy, all swirling together. In those moments, you may be tempted to shout back, to fight, to prove yourself. But remember, storms are loud because they are temporary. The thunder crashes, the wind howls, but soon the sky clears and the sun shines again. Do not give the storm more power than it deserves. Stand still. Let it pass. You are the sky. The storm is only passing through. To rise above negativity is also to discipline your own thoughts. Sometimes the loudest negativity comes not from outside voices, but from the whispers within. The voice that says you cannot, the voice that remembers your failures, the voice that tells you your best is not enough. You must learn to silence that voice with truth. Remind yourself of every victory, every mountain you have already climbed, every storm you have already survived. Do not let your own doubts be louder than your destiny. Elevation requires focus. You cannot rise while staring back at every distraction below. Keep your eyes forward, your vision clear, your heart steady. Focus on where you are going, not on what they are saying. Focus on what you are building, not on what they are tearing down. The higher you climb, the smaller their noise becomes, until it is nothing more than a faint whisper lost in the wind. When you choose to rise, you will inspire others to do the same. Your calm will silence their chaos. Your dignity will expose their pettiness. Your grace will leave them wondering how you kept shining while they tried to cast shadows. And in the end, you will see that the greatest revenge against negativity is not anger, not retaliation, but elevation. For when you rise, you show that nothing they did, nothing they said, nothing they plotted was enough to hold you down. So, do not waste your life in battles too small for your destiny. Do not waste your wings flapping at crows. Do not waste your voice answering every critic. Keep rising, keep soaring, keep elevating until you reach the heights where negativity cannot survive. For that is where your freedom lives. That is where your peace breathes. And that is where your true power waits. Above the noise, above the doubt, above the negativity that once tried to hold you back, anchor yourself in purpose, for without purpose, life will toss you from wave to wave, and every wind of distraction will pull you off course. A person without purpose is like a ship without a compass, drifting endlessly, going wherever the tide pushes, never truly knowing where they are meant to arrive. But when your soul is anchored, when you are tied to something greater than yourself, no storm, no critic, no disappointment can tear you away from your path. Purpose holds you steady when the waters rise. Purpose gives you direction when the fog of confusion clouds your way. Purpose whispers strength when the voices of doubt try to shout you down. You must understand that your life is not random. You are not here by accident. There is a calling, a mission, a reason why you were placed in this time, in this place with the gifts and scars you carry. Anchoring yourself in purpose is about recognizing that reason and choosing to live for it no matter what. Too many people spend their days chasing approval, applause, possessions, or recognition. But these things are fragile. They vanish like smoke. Purpose, however, endures. It is the quiet fire that burns in your heart even when no one is watching. It is the steady pull that reminds you of who you are and what you were made to do. When you anchor yourself in purpose, the noise of the world loses its grip. The insults, the gossip, the doubts, none of them can shake you, because you know where you are going. Purpose is a shield. It protects you from being broken by every criticism. It guards you against being inflated by every compliment. It steadies you so that you are not swayed by what others think of you, but by what you know within yourself. There will be times when the journey feels long, when the path feels unclear, when everything in you wants to let go of the anchor and drift into ease. But it is in those moments that purpose proves its worth. For purpose